It's upon hundreds of Angelenos gathered in one place on a recent Tuesday evening to bid farewell to a man they had come to know on their television screen, a man who helped them explore California's hidden and diverse treasures. Rasha Goel brings us this remembrance of the late Huell Howser.
This is going to be a real treat. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
We're getting ready to have an absolutely wonderful day.
His voice and his passion were trademarks that touched the hearts of many. In today's often cynical world, Huell Howser, many would say, was a breath of fresh air. To pay their respects, hundreds of Huell Howser fans gathered at the Griffith Observatory to celebrate the life of the television host who became a household name.
We went everywhere in the state to bring California to us. A big hand to the memory of Huell Howser.
I've always watched his shows growing up as a kid. He feels like an uncle who just passed away.
Howser hosted travel shows on public television and was most known for California's Gold, which featured a side of California not even many locals knew about. He introduced viewers to small towns, odd landmarks, and down-home people.
But you never did feel any of John Muir's vibes in here.
Well, yes and no. When I was real tired, sometimes I used to think, what would John Muir think about this house if he could come back?
And it was so wonderful to watch him on television and have him show the kind of admiration for these places and for people.
Huell Howser passed away at the age of 67 after battling cancer. He's mostly remembered for his warm personality and folksy Tennessee drawl.
So you have, what, trail rides? Organizations can come out here and just ride the ranch?
He really came through on his show that he just really took the interest in people. So that's something we'll really miss seeing.
That must have been an amazing experience.
Councilmember Tom LaBonge arranged this sunset tribute for Howser so that his fans would be able to come together to celebrate his legacy. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
Howser donated his videotaped collection of California's Gold episodes, as well as those of his other series, to Chapman University. That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ellen Chang. A reminder that you could catch us online at lecityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We leave you now with some more fond remembrances from fans of Huell Howser who attended the Sunset Tribute. See you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
I can't tell you how much this visit this morning has meant to hear these stories in your words.
He is a landmark for California, and I'm going to miss him.
He turned a lot of people on to places that were right under our noses and we didn't know existed.
My friends and I would find or rediscover California because of Huell Howser. We were all natives, but I think even though he wasn't born here, he was more of a native son even than we were.
This has been a wonderful day spent in this wonderful historic place here in Northern California, this John Muir home.
I've gone on vacations because of him, and I've seen places that I've never thought existed.
Well, here we are in Yosemite National Park, and this is going to be one of the most exciting days thing you see out here, all the way around.
Hi, I'm Kevin from Chatsworth, offering you a taste of New Orleans since 1986. You're watching LA City View, Channel 35. Our city, our channel.
Thank you very much. Get on the phone and call some of the fine officers. Mr. Englander here from the 12th District. Thank you so much. Thank you. Mr. Weezar, thank you, Mr. Weezar. Councilmember Joe Buscaino. Joe Buscaino. Great to see you up from the harbor area.
Okay.
Welcome. continue to make the phone calls to the offices. Mr. Kikoy and Mr. Wesson, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mr. Rosendahl, thank you very much. All right. Thank you, Ms. Perry. Good morning, everyone. This is the Los Angeles City Council. This is the 23rd day of January 2013. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alarcon, Buscaino, Englander, Garcetti, Weezer, Caress, Krikorian, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Zion, Wesson. 11 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Councilman Weezer moves. Councilman Garcetti seconds the minutes.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Councilman Krikorian moves. Councilman Parks seconds. So ordered.
Very good, sir. Before running through the agenda, there is a recommendation from the department regarding number 5. So, as follows, 5B, F, G, and I should be received and filed inasmuch as the lien has been paid. And the department also recommends that 5E be continued until February 6th.
Very good. So we'll do that. Without objection, so ordered. Thank you. Items 1 through 5, anything else on that?
That brings us to items 1 through 5. They're items noticed for public hearing. We do have cards on 1 and 5, sir.
They'll call those specials with the balance. Let's and no speakers on the queue. Let's open the roll on the balance. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote. So ordered.
11 ayes.
Very good. So ordered. Next item.
Mr. President, items 6 through 8 are items for which public hearings have been held.
Members, any specials? Mitch?
If I could send item 7 back to committee, public safety.
7 back to the committee by the chair, without objection. Anything else? No other specials with the balance? Let's open the roll on the balance. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Next item. Item 9 through 14.
Mr. President, items 9 through 14 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Let's open up the roll on that. For consideration, Mr. Koretz, I see you there.
I'd like to call number 9 special.
We'll call it special, but we got to get consideration first, right, Mr. Clerk? So consideration first. Let's open the roll for consideration. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote for consideration. Now, any specials on these? 13.
Mr. President, before doing so, there's been a request to refer item 14 back to the Rules Committee. Refer 14 back to Rules.
Without objection. 13 for Ms. Perry. Mr. Koretz?
Item 9, I'd like to ask to be special.
A 9 special for Mr. Koretz. No other items? Is there a balance on that, Mr. Clerk? On those other items?
No, sir. I believe that clears the board.
Okay, so we're not voting on anything now. Next, what's the next item?
Mr. President, items 15 through 18 are items scheduled for closed session. Would you like to hold them on the desk?
Yeah, I want to check with Mr. Krikorian, the fine chair of our Finance Committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Items 15 and 16 will need to be discussed in closed session. Items 17 and 18 are approvals of settlement, and those can both be dealt with in open session unless members have questions about those matters.
Members, any questions on the 17 and 18? Seeing none, taking the recommendation of the committee chair, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. President, I'll need to read the recommendations for those 2 items before voting.
Thank you.
For item 17, in the case entitled Chris Hayes versus Lane Toshiro Tabuchi, there's a recommendation to expend $495,000 in settlement. And for item 18, in the case entitled Dongbu Insurance Company et al. Versus City of Los Angeles, there is a recommendation to expend $350,000 in settlement.
Thank you for reading that into the record. No speakers on the queue. Let's open the roll on those 2, 17 and 18. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Thank you very much. Sergeant, I hear noise over here on the side. Sergeant, if you could handle that, it seems disruptive. Thank you. Next item.
Mr. President, that takes council back to presentations, item called special, or public comment for items not on council's agenda.
We have a presentation by Mr. Garcetti. Mr. Garcetti, are we ready?
Yes, and just as we're coming up, do you mind if we reconsider item 18 from yesterday's agenda, just so I could be on the record as a vote, as a resolution?
On 18?
Yep.
Good. Okay, good. From yesterday.
Thank you.
We'll do that after you make the presentation.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
They're trying to get your attention over there. Colleagues, it is my pleasure once again to present to you an extraordinary group of Angelinos who make a difference in the most immediate ways by mentoring and even being mentored, and to declare January 2013 as National Mentoring Month in the city of Los Angeles. On Wednesday, December 28, 2011, President Barack Obama issued a proclamation designating January 2012 as a National Mentoring Month. In his words, he stated, "Every day, mentors help young Americans face challenges of growing into adulthood. By setting a positive example and sharing their time, knowledge, and experience, mentors play an essential role in preparing our nation's youth for a bright future. During National Mentoring Month, we celebrate the contributions of all those who cultivate a supportive environment for the next generation, and we recommit to expanding mentorship opportunities across our countries. Here in Los Angeles, we have one of the most vibrant communities of mentors anywhere in the world. And they have proven what independent studies have consistently shown, that youth who are matched with an adult mentor are more likely to avoid teen pregnancy, gang involvement, and experimentation with drugs and alcohol, while simultaneously boosting positive outcomes like improved relationship with peers and adults, higher self-esteem, and graduation from high school and matriculation to higher education. Youth mentoring organizations like some of those represented here today, like Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Greater Los Angeles, Jewish Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Catholic Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Los Angeles Team Mentoring, the Fulfillment Fund, and Youth Mentoring Connection consistently provide positive mentoring relationships to at-risk youth in Los Angeles. And today we spotlight and honor these groups and the individuals that change the lives of city youth for the better. When I moved back to Los Angeles after my higher education, I became a mentor in Boyle Heights with Proyecto Pastoral. And Chewy, who was my mentee, and I were able to do a number of things, go to museums, spend some time together, listen to what his hopes and his dreams were. But as much as we know it changes the lives of those who are mentored, the mentees, it changes the life of the mentor. Because here in Los Angeles, it creates connections across geography, across ethnicity, across income levels, across industries. And all of us would not be here today were it not for the mentors that we have had in our lives. So it is a great joy to be able to present this group of mentors and one mentee. And let's take an opportunity this month to thank a mentor in your life, as well as consider volunteering for rewarding experience as a mentor with organizations such as the ones represented here today. And so with that, I'd like to present a friend who is no stranger to these council halls and a number of different roles she has played, but most recently with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Greater Los Angeles. Please welcome Tiffany Sayart.
Thanks for having us today. I'm here with 4 colleague organizations, and we serve thousands of children across LA City, transforming their lives and helping them achieve success. So each of us would like to introduce ourselves and give our websites, because there are so many children waiting, and each of us serves a number of kids, and we would really like to see a bump in our numbers this month in honor of National Mentoring Month. So again, I'm Tiffany Sayart. This is my colleague Sylvia Gazarian from Big Brothers Big Sisters of Greater LA. We're at bbbsla.org. And I'd like to introduce the rest of our colleagues, and then I'd like you to hear from a match about just how transformative this experience is. Thank you.
Step up to the microphone.
Hi, good morning. My name is Kenny Rogers. I'm CEO of the Fulfillment Fund. We're a 35-year-old nonprofit organization. Our mission is to make college a reality for students in economically and educationally under-resourced communities. We've helped thousands of students over those years with our mantra of one student at a time. Mentoring is absolutely key to our efforts. In the month of January, National Mentoring Month, our goal is to attract 31 new mentors for the 31 days of January. What Councilman Garcetti said is absolutely right. In our experience, our mentees have learned so much from their mentors, and we've helped thousands of students get on the path to college, but our mentors have learned just as much, and they will tell you that, and the City of Los Angeles has benefited greatly. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Ken Martinet. I've been with Catholic Big Brothers Big Sisters almost 18 years. Our agency is 87 years old, and we've been serving children in the downtown and South LA area and the greater county of Los Angeles. Our big brother, Mike Trueblood, 83 years old, next week. I just came back from the Oval Office in June and received an award for being Big Brother of the Year for the whole United States. So we're very proud of that. It's our third one. We appreciate your support of mentoring here in Los Angeles.
Hi, my name is Randy Schwab, and it's my pleasure to be CEO of Jewish Big Brothers Big Sisters of Los Angeles. For nearly 100 years, we have reached out to Jewish big brothers and big sisters, little brothers and little sisters, to make an impact in their life. I want to thank the council and its supporters for mentors and mentors in Los Angeles for recognizing the important role that mentoring makes in a child's life. I would like you to hear firsthand from Braden and from Daniel about their relationship and the impact they have made on each other's lives. For a little history, Braden and Daniel have been matched since June of 2009. Through the years, Braden has been there to support Daniel, both in good times and in bad. Braden has demonstrated his commitment to Daniel and his family, stepping up many times, going above and beyond what is truly necessary. And it's clear that their bond is very strong and that Braden cares deeply for Daniel. And according to Daniel, Braden is the coolest guy ever. So let's hear firsthand about their relationship. May I present Braden and Daniel.
Good morning. I'm Braden Pollock, the coolest guy ever. I'm also the lucky mentor of this terrific kid, Daniel, whom you're about to meet. He's a smart, wisecracking little man in the 8th grade. He's 13 years old, going on 24. When Daniel and I first met 3.5 years ago, I wanted to do something charitable with kids since I didn't have any of my own. So I thought mentoring would be a good fit, and it was. Daniel's home situation was not so great. It affected his studies, and his grades had been sliding. After spending every other Sunday together, I've seen pretty significant changes in Daniel. After earning his trust, we now have a solid friendship, and he is open to most of my advice and even laughs at some of my jokes. I enjoy helping shape Daniel's character and maybe a sense of humor, and watching him grow and hopefully mature. At 13, the jury's still out. Jewish Big Brothers ask mentors to be authentic, patient, and non-judgmental role models and be a consistent, supportive friend. It was easier and more fun than I had expected. Mentoring is great for both kids and adults. I truly enjoy it and highly recommend it. Thank you for inviting us to speak in support of National Mentoring Month. And now you'll hear from the young man who's become so important to me, Daniel.
Knock it out.
I'm Daniel Kolchak, and I'm with Jewish Big Brothers Big Sisters of LA. I know that there are a lot of children and teens in LA waiting for mentors, and so I feel pretty lucky that I've been matched with Braden for almost 4 years. When I met my big brother, When I met my big brothers, things were pretty tough. I didn't really know my father because he wasn't around all that much. But my mom was an immigrant from Russia, and we didn't have any family in this country. My mom was working hard to make our lives better, and she wanted me to have a positive male role model in my life. She says that when she found Jewish Big Brothers and I started seeing Braden, it was a miracle. I know she really loves and respects Braden, and he is family to us. The staff at Jewish Big Brothers Big Sisters of LA asked me recently what it's like to be with Braden and why he is important to me. Well, first of all, he's pretty awesome because we're always laughing and smiling, and he puts me in a better mood. He actually thinks he's funnier than me. But we do...
I am funnier than you.
Braden, it's not true at all, but we do a lot of laughing together. I usually learn some kind of fun fact when we're together, too. Before I met Braden, things were boring and I didn't have much to look forward to. I don't feel like that anymore. For one thing, Braden motivates me to do better in school, and he inspires me because, from my point of view, he's pretty happy with his life, and Braden works hard, and I can tell that he has made a good life for himself. I'm doing really well in school now, getting all A's and B's. I believe Braden has a lot to do with that because he helps me make the connections between working hard and getting what you want out of life. When I'm older, I'm going to get a good job through my good education. In my adult life, I want to not always be in need of something, and I want to be able to give to others. I'm really grateful to have a mentor, and I hope that many more adults will realize that they can help make life much better for kids and teens in LA. It could be one of the best things you ever do. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to give this certificate to Daniel with Tiffany's permission. So, Daniel, on behalf of the City of Los Angeles, you and Braden, if you will please be the recipients of the January 2013 National Mentoring Month. We commend your involvement promoting the awareness to positive mentoring of youth in Los Angeles. Your contributions are deserving of great recognition. Become a mentor today, folks, and let's thank all those who make these connections possible. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, but I want to ask Mr. Garcetti a question. Who was your mentor?
I had lots of mentors. Carlton Long was my greatest mentor.
Carlton Long, very good, very good. And Daniel, it's great to see Daniel speak, and all of you there from all the organizations. Let's give them all a big hand.
All right.
Oh, Mr. Rosendahl. Mr. Rosendahl, hold on there.
I wanted to stand up for this before I sat down, actually. I was just doing an interview with a radio station. Mentoring is key. We all need mentoring. Look, I'm 66, 67. I still need mentoring. And I get that from people in their 80s who've been around a little longer than me, who know more. But for the kids, let me just say, the more adults you hang around with and ask questions and understand things, the stronger you're going to be as an adult, and the more you'll be able to give back to the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. If you look behind you as I'm speaking to you, all the adults there are smiling, waving their heads and all that, because mentoring is the key to success for everybody on this planet. I want to congratulate you again, Mr. Garcetti, for highlighting this and putting this out for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosendahl. Mr. Rosendahl, who was your mentor?
Well, I can start with my parents.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
You know, and I had 7 brothers and sisters.
Yeah, they did it all.
Not all. My grandmother came over, and I would walk around the block, learned a little culture from her, from Germany.
Right.
Unfortunately, my other grandparents I didn't get to know. But then there's been a lot of people in my professional life and personal life that have also given me insights and mentoring and support. It's a wonderful thing. You had Johnny Ferraro over.
Well, I did. Johnny Ferraro, also Milt Davis, too.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Rosendahl, Mr. Garcetti, and hold on, Mr. Garcetti.
We just want to make one call to action. 1, 2, 3. Mentoring works. Mentor now.
All right, very good. Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. That completes our presentations for the day. And Mr. Clerk, what's the next item?
That brings us to item 1, called Special for Cards.
John Walsh. Juan Dude. 2 cards, please, gentlemen.
Right. I want to clarify the first lie. Not everybody here smiling. Mr. Rosendahl, You are smiling, but it's a fake smile.
Mr. LeBon, let's talk to the item, Juan. Let's talk to the item. Thank you.
Protesting against proposed improvement and maintenance of the Exposition Boulevard and Boundary Drive Lighting District. There's no objection that everything needs improving. So it's no big deal, but I just don't like people painting a rosy picture of what's going on. Mr. Rosendahl, it is not rosy out there. You know better than that. So don't keep saying everybody's smiling out here. No.
Thank you. Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. My mentors were Howard Jarvis and Malcolm X. I never met them. We're 100% for these improvements at Expo. Stay tuned, folks. The end of the meeting under public comment. This is the mayor's 60th birthday cake right
Thank
here.
you, Mr. Walsh. All right. No other public comment on cards, Mr. Clerk? No speakers on the queue. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
So ordered. Next item.
That brings us to item 5, called Special for Cards.
So that's A, C, D, and H.
Robert Geist. Robert Geist. Is Robert Geist here? Thank you, Robert.
Gentlemen, I would like to request a continuous on the lien, based on the fact I'd like to work out some details with the Department of Building and Safety regarding the original fines imposed on the property. I'm planning on filing a written protest with them, as well as working with my local city councilman to resolve the issue.
Well, thank you. It's a 5C is your item there. Is there someone from the department here? Yes. And what council office are we working with here?
Council District 1.
1. Okay, so we'll make sure we have a staff member there. If the department could come up, please. The department could come up to the center table. The representative of the department. Is there anyone here for the department? So it's okay to keep it. Good. We're going to have you work with the staff. If you get it resolved today, let us know. We'll lay it on the desk. If not, we'll continue it 2 weeks.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the lien's continued for 2 weeks?
No, we're going to have you work with staff right now, and then the staff's going to make a recommendation. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
We'll hold it on the desk, Mr. Clerk. Next item.
Mr. President, did you wish to hold all of it on the desk or just 5C?
No, just 5C.
Very good, sir. Would you like to then vote on 5A, D, and H?
Yes. No speakers on the queue. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
So ordered. Next item.
That brings us to item number 9, called Special for Councilmember Koretz.
Mr. Koretz. Mr. Paul Koretz in the 5th District.
Yes, I'd like to call staff forward for a quick question or two if they're present.
Staff? Is staff here?
And if they're not...
Thank you so much.
Okay. Hello. Just a couple of questions. Have you studied the viability of making this swales and other biofilters more than an option, but actually making it a requirement for new driveways and parking lots?
Deborah Cahan, City Planning Department. So the green initiatives of the city, as you know, are interdepartmental and multifaceted. The Bureau of Sanitation has recently expanded their SUSUMP regulations for the Low Impact Development Ordinance. And within that ordinance, virtually all new projects must incorporate a certain number of best management practices. For single-family homes, that's going to mainly hit permeable driveways to satisfy those requirements. So as far as new projects go, we're going to be strongly encouraging and in a sense, not requiring, but it's going to be the easiest way to satisfy a lot of those requirements. We did consider making it mandatory, but at this point we feel that we may be better suited to crawl before walking in order to avoid any potential learning curves and cost increases so that the market can adjust first.
And how are you going to market this new option and let people know that it's available in the marketplace?
Great. So this ordinance was developed interdepartmentally, as I mentioned before, because we didn't want to develop something that would have snags with other departments in the future. So in doing so, we've actually increased our relationships and made stronger with other departments. And those initiatives will be able to market this ordinance as well. That includes the IRP, the Integrated Water Resources Plan, the LA River Revitalization, Complete Green Streets Initiative. So all these other departments will, as well as our own, will be marketing this new ordinance and this new option for the city to pursue because it directly or indirectly impacts their initiatives as well.
Thank you. And colleagues, I would encourage us to support this. In the bad old days, we used to pave everything, including the channel of the LA River. Now we know that we are just rushing all kinds of chemicals to the ocean instead of allowing it to be filtered and get back into our aquifer. So this is a significant step in the right direction rather than having to build many billions of dollars worth of canals. We need to rebuild our own aquifers, and this is a good step in the right direction. So I encourage an aye vote, and thank you for your
Mr.
response.
Moretz. And I just want a technical question. Have you talked to the Office of Disability, the Department of Disability,
We have
on
included
all ADA requirements?
Absolutely. We've included a provision in the ordinance that that those provisions must still be met when installing permeable paving or alternative paving materials.
And then also the city attorney, because when you have anything that's changed, sometimes we get lawsuits. Have they reviewed it?
They have reviewed it, yes, sir.
All right. Good. Ms. Flores, I think, is a top public works city attorney. Thank you so much for your comments. One public works, public comment card. Juan Dude.
If it's a new material that is actually going to do benefit, we're all for it, right? I really don't know that much, the research. So.
Thank you for your comment on that. Appreciate it. So no other speakers on the queue. Let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
11
And
ayes.
Mr. President, that'll go over 1 week for a second read.
Next item, please.
That brings us to item number 10, called Special for Cards.
John Walsh. Juan Dude. You can work together. Come on up, Juan. Mr. Dude, then you sit down. I gave you an opportunity. Give it to Mr. Walsh. Thank you.
We were told to stand in a line by your predecessor.
I understand that, Mr. Walsh. Run that clock, please.
You know,
Thank
I
you.
feel like a concentration camp with them. But in any case, HollywoodHighlands.org. We're 100% in favor of REAP. Jackie Goldberg gave us REAP. It gets rid of bad landlords. Stay tuned. There's going to be a very short meeting, and you're going to see the birthday cake pretty soon.
Juan Dude.
Yes, when it comes to property, everybody needs to have a home, and if you can remove bad landlords, I think there's a different way of doing it, but you need to consult my book, The United World of Free and Clear. We can actually make everybody a landlord and occupy the whole city with people that are contributing instead of people that are being bad to one another.
Thank you very much. No other speakers on the queue. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
11 ayes, so ordered. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
That brings us to item 11, called Special for Cards.
John Walsh. John Walsh passes. We have no other cards. No speakers on the queue. Mr. Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
So ordered. Next item.
Item 12, called special for cards.
Mr. Walsh. Pass. Mr. Walsh passes. No speakers on the queue. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Next item.
Item 13, called special for Councilmember Perry.
Ms. Perry.
No, that was for 13. No. It's up. Okay, there we go. Now it just changed. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to, maybe Mr. Zine, you could speak to this on your motion to assert jurisdiction on this airport issue and your concern about the rationale that was used. I guess we can't talk about it until we assert jurisdiction. Is that right, City Attorney?
No, council could discuss the substance of it in order to make a decision as to whether to assert.
As to whether or not. I wanted to know what your basis was for wanting to assert jurisdiction, because it wasn't clear from the motion.
Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. We were informed that there's a nearly $4 million project that was approved consent at the Airport Commission and for public relations, and the contracts will be going to businesses outside the city of Los Angeles. The question is it necessary? If it is necessary, the justification, and why are we spending the money that amounts to nearly $4 million on firms outside the city of Los Angeles? Part one is a $1.625 million public education communications Santa Monica-based firm. Part two is $1.55 million for media buying services in support of communication to San Diego. At 1.55 at ease San Diego Advertising. So the bottom line is, what we want to know is, what is it for when they talk about public education communication services and the tune of nearly $4 million, and when we're trying to help our businesses here in the city of Los Angeles, and I have a poster that we illustrate where we're sending $1.55 million down to San Diego to an advertising firm to buy spots for an advertisement for the LA International Airport. So if you're looking at, we'll pass this down to you. This 245 was sponsored by me and my colleague, Mr. Rosendahl. And if we're looking at other dollars that the airport has, they can use it to invest in the Green Line extension, improve security, freeway service, etc. A number of programs that could be utilized for the traveling public. But the bottom line is, they approved nearly $4 million on this project. It was on consent. There was no discussion, and we want to have open transparency within the government. So our concern is that we 245 this, we send it to committee, reviewed in committee, they come forward, they answer the questions, and based upon that, decide what happens. But I find it unusual that the airport needs to spend this type of money on public relations when they have an in-house public relations firm in the first place, or in-house public relations representatives. That's the concern. So it's nearly $4 million, public relations, businesses outside the city of Los Angeles. Is it necessary? And this expenditure of businesses outside. Spend the money if you're going to spend it in Los Angeles, but is it necessary and justified? This was brought to our attention by an individual who thought there was a concern with it. We agree with there's a concern with it, so we would ask that we 245 this, send it to committee. Mr. Labonte would ultimately see it in his committee. We did a news conference with Mr. Rosendahl and myself. And that's the issue and the concern. Hopefully that answers the question, and we can encourage you to please vote yes on the 245 on this particular matter.
Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you, Mr. Zine, again for your leadership on this issue. Look, folks, you know I'm a true believer in open and transparent government, and I too am interested in knowing more about how LAWA made the decision to spend this large amount of money on public relations. I don't want to be terribly provincial, but there's $4 million that could have been spent in L.A. by L.A. firms. So we just want to raise the issue, have them come before the committee and explain to us why they did it. And it's the right thing to do, because we're about openness and transparency in government. And I ask for a unanimous vote to let this come before the committee and let a healthy, robust discussion take place. And thanks again, Mr. Zine, for what you did.
Thank you, Mr. Rosendahl. Mr. Parks, please.
Thank you very much. I was wondering if we can get the LAX personnel up at the table. Maybe they can explain today what the issues are, because I understand there was an RFP process, and if I understand it correctly, the RFP, they followed whatever their guidelines were, and the fact it was on consent, I think the fact it would depend on how well the commission was briefed. So maybe you can answer those questions as relates before we vote.
Yeah, Mark Adams, Los Angeles World Airports. We're happy discussing this in committee next week. But what I just want to, I'll point out now is that these contracts are in direct response to a request by our commission that we construct and implement a public information program on our capital improvement program at LAX that's causing disruption in the terminals and will cause disruption on the roadways and such like that. So what this is to do is to inform the traveling public, inform locals, inform anybody who would be coming to LAX about the nature of the impacts that they would see at LAX and what is coming at LAX after that construction period. It did go through an RFP process. We had multiple firms bid on each component of this, each of the three components of these contracts, and we selected the firms that we recommended the award to. It was on consent, as I said, because I think the board was comfortable with what we were doing, and we had been discussing with this with them at past meetings.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Ms. Perry.
Oh, quick question. Are these contracts for public information and outreach, or are they contracts for public relations? And if there is a difference, which I think there is, would you explain the difference?
These are for public information and outreach, developing a public communication campaign for our capital development program. They're not a public relations. We're not promoting anything with these. This isn't a marketing contract. We're not marketing LAX or marketing to airlines or such like that. It is not a our public relations staff that we have on board deals with the day-to-day media relations issues and deals with issues of on an ongoing day-to-day basis. This is more. One of these contracts is more for strategic planning and the communication program and development of the communication program. One of the contracts is for media buying. Much of that money will filter back to the LA market as we buy print and media ads here locally. And the other is for video development. We don't have anybody on staff to.
And as the RFP was drafted, is it only limited to city businesses, or is it limited to businesses who do business within LA County?
Two of the firms that were selected have offices in LA County. One is based in Santa Monica. It's not limited to the city of LA. It's open to anybody who wants to propose. We had people from outside the state, I'm sure, who proposed, but everybody we got recommended an award to was a Southern California-based firm.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. Mr. Zine.
Well, as I understand, it's a Santa Monica company, a Fountain Valley company, a San Diego company. Is that correct?
That's where the headquarters are, I believe, yes.
Well, that's where they're located. The headquarters is where they're located.
Well, the Addies also has an office in Glendale as well.
Well, that's not the city of L.A.
Right.
We keep coming back to the same issue that media buy out of a company in San Diego at $1.55 million, you would think that money could be utilized to buy advertising time. You could do it at a local LA firm. There's got to be hundreds of them in the Los Angeles region. So we're talking about Glendale or Burbank or Santa Monica or Pasadena or Fountain Valley. That's not helping the LA economy. That's not helping LA businesses. And maybe it's not a mandate, but there should be some common sense to try and help the local businesses before we help out San Diego with $1.55 million. How long has the construction been taking place at LAX?
The Bradley Terminal has been under construction a little over 2 years now.
So 2 years after they started construction, now they decide to do this nearly $4 million media buy to inform the public?
But much of the the Bradley Terminal is being constructed behind the ropes. What we're now talking about is construction that is on the public side with the terminals, with the roadways and such like that. So the public information is much more important now that we're moving on to the public side of the airport, if you will.
Were there LA companies that put bids in for these particular contracts?
I believe so, yes.
And what was the spread between the LA companies and the ones who got the contracts?
I don't know the exact scores. We will have somebody familiar with that in the TCD committee hearing.
See, that's the concern. It was at 1 point apart, was it 2 points apart? The fact is, if it's necessary, since obviously people go to the airport because they're going to travel. They come into LA, they're going to travel, they're going to go out of LA, they're going to travel. It's not that you're going to go for recreation. You go to LAX because you have to travel, and wherever you have to travel, it's the most inconvenient place to go to, especially from the San Fernando Valley. But when we're talking about public education communication services, to me, you would think that that would be held in the open arena. If you want to educate the public, it would be held in an open discussion, a transparent discussion, so people would be aware of what they're doing. So I still have concerns that we want to get the information. We want to get all of the information. We want to find the point spread. We want to find out why Los Angeles companies aren't qualified, if there's a problem with Los Angeles companies. The fact of the matter is, do we need to spend this $4 million on this particular campaign when there are other opportunities that would help the Los Angeles region and help inform the people? There's no question that LAX is going through renovation, whether it's an expansion or a development for enhancement, whatever the case may be. But the fact is, I believe that we need to have an open hearing, a transparent hearing, and not to criticize the commission for going on the staff report, but the fact is there's still unanswered questions that I think would be appropriate if we want to be an open, transparent city, to have no hidden agenda.
All right, you're over time, Mr. Zion. Go fly.
I'm now done.
Go fly out of Burbank.
So I would encourage my colleagues, along with Mr. Rosendahl, to support this 245 so we can have an open hearing in committee.
Mr. Parks, again, please, Mr. Parks. Excuse me, Mr. Parks. Mr. Englander, you're next.
Parks, you'd already asked the question about the RFP, and I didn't hear the response, so I'm sorry. What was the response? This did go out to bid, or this did not?
This went out to RFP. We had several firms on each component of each of the three components. I believe on the we had 6 or 7 firms put in proposals on at least 2 of the components, maybe 3 or 4 on the third component.
And it went to lowest and best bid?
No, it wasn't a bid. It was a proposal-based contract. Once we went through the selection process for the qualified firm, we negotiated the price of the contract with that firm.
Okay, but it did go out to RFP?
Yeah, it went to RFP, not a bid. RFP, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. England. Mr. Parks.
One other question is that, like, is FAA money or the airport money similar to federal money? That I understand federal money, you can't limit it by geographic. Is the FAA or your funds under the same limitations?
We can't require the bidder to be in a particular geographic area, but we have adopted the local business preference.
Now your preference is what, countywide?
Yeah, it's countywide.
Okay, so 2 of the 3 are in the LA County?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Mr. Rosendahl.
Just a final comment from me, colleagues. The more we know about things, the better off we are. Nobody's accusing anybody of anything except what we want to do is get some answers so we feel comfortable. I've learned since I've been in the government, the more I know, the more we're empowered, the more effective I can be in my job. So if it could be just informational, that's good. If it needs to be more than that, then it needs to be more than that. So it's frankly a no-brainer for us to go forward, 245 it, ask these questions, and then get on with our moment. But it is about that integrity issue of openness and transparency, Mr. President.
Thank you. We have 2 speaking cards, Mr. Dude and Mr. Walsh.
Very simple. Putting out millions of dollars just to tell people we got a good airport. That is pure BS. I mean, people need housing. BS is not okay. Oh, it's pure BO. It's total body odor. Something smells, and it's not good. Look, spend the money on the people, not on advertising, not on ink, not on drawing. Spend the money on the people, make the people free. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You have 1 minute left, Mr. Dude. Thank you so much, Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. For once, 100% in agreement with the City Council. You sound like me and the rest of us that protest. Let me tell you what's happening here for the people out there. Everybody on the Airport Commission was appointed by the mayor. The mayor sits down, he used to do it with Matt Szabo, with the commissioners, and tells them how to vote. So these companies are hooked in with the mayor. You understand that? So that he can get money to run for governor. So they know these are the wrong companies. So now they're taking it over. And I want you to know, if you look at one of the companies that the mayor wants, one of these that you're avoiding, it's called Nothing Incorporated. That's the name of the company to do PR work for the city airport. I got my hat on. The cake is here. Pretty soon, the celebration, birthday, 60th birthday mayor.
Thank you. That completes the comment, but we have Mr. Englander again on the queue.
Just one other note, when and if this goes to a committee, to keep in mind there's another motion pending that's been sitting stale for quite a while, which is the local preference issue. I don't know if this received local preference or not, that local preference with the 8% preferential bid enhancement. That is countywide. That's not citywide. And we've asked, and I've asked, that we change that to citywide. 50 years ago when it was written, it made sense to go countywide. Now it makes sense to go citywide only and not countywide on local preference. So just want to make sure that we continue that discussion and make sure that when and if those questions are asked in committee, to find out if local preference was actually used as an enhancement on this RFP as well. Thank you.
What committee is that sitting in, Mr. Englander?
Jobs.
Jobs. Thank you very much. Mr. Zine for his...
Just to close, Mr. Englander, you're absolutely right. We have those firms that are struggling. We've taken away the gross receipts tax for the car dealers, hopefully lure them back to the city of Los Angeles. And if we can't take care of our local businesses in these matters, when it comes to public advertising, to public agencies, the ones that are trying to do what they can to survive and employ the people of Los Angeles, it's a sorry situation where we have to go to firms outside of the city of Los Angeles. We have ample firms that can handle this. We have ample firms that are willing to take this challenge forward, and I would suggest that the open hearing will hopefully inform the airport commission and the airport management that we're concerned about people of this region, Los Angeles City, that they receive those dollars so we can better the communities that we all represent. So I think that the 245 will have an open hearing. We'll find out how many points were apart, how the issue came about. We'll get to the bottom line of it, and we'll send a message that we want to help local businesses so they can survive in this economy that hopefully is improving. So with that, we would ask for, along with my colleague, Mr. Rosendahl, an aye vote to send this to committee in an expeditious manner, not to hold up what they need to do at the airport, but get some answers and make it open, honest, and transparent.
Mr. Clerk.
And for clarification, this matter does need 10 votes. It requires 10 votes to assert jurisdiction.
10 votes to assert jurisdiction. So, no other speakers on the queue. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
So ordered. I'll have it in committee and back to you within 2 weeks. Thank you so much. Next item.
Mr. President, that brings us back to item number 5, 5C.
5C. Let's. We work with the fine staff of Mr. Reyes, and they suggested it'd be a 2-week continuance on 5C. 5C. We thank the staff of Mr. Reyes. So let's consider that 2-week continuation. So ordered.
No, sir. You can do that without objection.
Without objection. So ordered. Next item. Mr. Koretz, thank you.
Yes, I'd like to see if we can reconsider item number 18 from yesterday.
Item number 18. Mr. Clerk, do you remember what 18 was?
Yes, sir. Item number 18 is Council File 13-0002, sub 7.
And what did that call for?
It was a communication and resolution from the communication from the Chief Legislative Analyst and resolution relative to the city's position to support legislation that would reinstate and strengthen the federal assault weapons ban.
Very well. Let's for consideration, reconsideration. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
11 ayes. So order. It is before us right now, Mr. Clerk. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. Mr. Koretz?
Yes, I just wanted to note that in just the last few days we've had multiple massacres. It's getting to be another day, another massacre. We've had massacres in Houston. We've had a massacre in New Mexico, one involving the murder of 5 family members, where the perpetrator was talked out of then going to Walmart and mowing people down until he was able to commit suicide by being killed by officers. Obviously, the greatest focus was when we saw all those children killed on December 14th at Sandy Hook Elementary. But since then, just since December 14th, almost 1,200 gun deaths have taken place in this country since then. This is an issue I've been involved with since 1989, when I had West Hollywood pass the first ban on assault weapons in a city that hadn't had a massacre. Things haven't become any better since then. This is critical that we reinstate the assault weapons ban. And once again, I ask for an aye vote.
All right. I ask for an aye vote, Mr. Koretz. No other speakers on the queue. Let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
So ordered. 11 ayes. Thank you very much. Next item.
Mr. President, that brings us to general public comment.
John Walsh. John Walsh. And I'll just call these names.
Yes, sir.
Robbie Cooper, Dan Jones, and Mr. Dude. Yes. Ms. Ramirez is following public comment.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Daniel Jones. I got an idea for gun control. Why don't we control the toy guns in this country? Maybe if we raise a generation that doesn't think a gun is a toy to begin with, they might not pick it up to kill other kids with. There's all kinds of money made in toy guns. What's absurd to me, and this is a direct quote, direct statement to the Department of Justice FBI profiler, what's absurd to me, Mr. or ma'am, is that why it isn't obvious to you that I love your children more than you do, because if that statement wasn't true, you'd be here and I would be. How's that, Mr. Police Officer from San Pedro? You didn't come up with the idea. Mr. Parks, Chief of Police. Nobody in this room. You all want to take our guns from us, but you don't want to teach our kids to not pick one up in the first place?
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
I'm not done.
I am.
Well, you are, but I'm not. The nation grows weaker, not stronger, when dissident voices are silenced and civil liberties are stripped away. Benjamin Franklin said it best: any society that would give up a little liberty to gain a little security will deserve neither and lose both. Our greatest constitutional check upon the arbitrary infringements of liberty of the individual, whose ultimate effect was to give to full guarantee, full protection of property and person to every human being who breathes English air. That's from the Magna Carta. Are we out of that position yet? Have we drifted from that essence of the law? The only defense my father ever gave the bureaucrats of this country was none. Daniel, they can't do that, and start laughing at you. For the last 6 months, I've been prosecuting the case for the people. The flip side of the coin is I'm now going to defend the government, and all that my father did was laugh at you. That's why you're all in trouble.
Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. The dismal turnout for the mayor's birthday party proves beyond a reasonable doubt how unpopular the mayor is. But we did spend $25 on this cake. Here it is. Mayor Villaraigosa, happy 60th birthday. Now, I know he's having a private party. Some of you were invited, some of you haven't. This is not a negative thing I'm saying about the mayor. He just is old and vain and doesn't want to celebrate. And the media, of course, is keeping his birthday quiet. Now, we're going to be going downstairs at the end of the meeting. We will be there till 12:15 for anybody in the city who wants to come. Now, also, this is a two-part birthday. In other words, you're all invited. Mr. Weezer will be there at the MTA board meeting where he gets paid. You know, you get paid every time you show up at an MTA board meeting, if you remember. So we believe that the mayor will be there and the mayor will be offered a piece of the cake. I will eat a piece of the cake beforehand, 15 minutes early, to prove that it is not poisoned. And if he wants to bring in scientists, this cake is not poison. It comes from Red Ribbon. It's a beautiful Filipino-American birthday cake. So we want tomorrow at 9 a.m. for the mayor's birthday, and I will finish by singing happy birthday to the mayor, and I hope you will all join us now. Happy birthday to you. Happy 60th birthday to you. Happy 60th birthday to the mayor. Happy birthday to you. And the reason that Walsh Confidential supports Dennis Zine is because he was the only one in the city council who joined singing the song. HollywoodHighlands.org.
All right, Mr. Dude.
Well, only I am a little older than Villaraigosa. Anyway, I wanted to explain my hat today. I mean, I don't always explain my hat, but see, this is one of the founding fathers, George Washington. See, when they came from Europe, they were happy. When they started living here, they were not. Then they destroyed the Indians, they enslaved the blacks, blah, blah, blah. And now they got us all tied up with the fear that we're going to lose our housing if we do not go to work and we do not pay our rent and we do not pay our taxes. You see, when the original people were here, they were not worried about all these things. They were only worried about how are we going to get food for one another. But now, that is not the problem. The problem is how are we going to pay city halls ordinances that keep coming one after the other, after the other, after the other. And we have to worry about who in the heck are we working for. Why shouldn't we all be working for humanity instead of some of us running around with guns, killing each other and killing oneself because we don't have a place to live anymore? We need to revamp the system so everybody has a home that will not be able to be lost by any reason, by any city ordinance, by any means. That's what we need to do. We need to get the devils out of housing. All right?
Mr. Cooper.
I'm here advocating for the people, for the poor people of Los Angeles, downtown Skid Row. I come here to tell you, find out what's going on. You have an attorney. His name is Wisner. Mr. Wisner lost the case. He just filed erroneous documents to get me out of my office. I can't get in my office because there's the mayor's empowerment. Empowerment of the city council, secondary owners of my business. How did that happen? I don't know. Well, anyway, I'm paying the taxes on this business. I paid more than $2,800 to City LA this year, another $1,300 to the state taxes. IRS, I can't even get an audit on because you won't let me in my own business account. That's empowerment. Where did the empowerment come over just a simple small businessman? You know, I opened that business, eBay account, Bank of America accounts, 4. I got 7 different accounts in this city, bank accounts, credit union accounts established in this city. You know, I can't get a dime of my money, you know, because of empowerment. You know, I paid out $7,500 to an attorney for representation down the street here, and they ran him out of town, I guess, because he disappeared with the money. I paid Los Angeles document preparation for a guardianship over my estate, $5,000, and he just might as well give me the bird. You know, $250,000 to Mary Lynch for an investment for the poor people, African Americans, basically downtown Skid Row. Contract missing. Burglarized to my office that you have locked up. I'm locked out of my office. I walk in the street for 6 months, and my time is up. I believe you speed the time up or something, because I just watched it. You got the rest of the time. I've had enough to say. I want to get in my office. I want to get in my bank accounts. Does it take the federal government for me to get in there? Who's paying the federal tax?
Ms. Ramirez.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm exposing the wicked slumlord, Francis G. Smith, who hires criminal illegal aliens and gangbangers and also rents out to these illegals who end up destroying the property and your quality of life. She owns property at 245 South Lucas Avenue, Los Angeles, California, 90026. The individuals are felons and criminals and gangbangers. They are Carmen in apartment 414. Carmen, Santiago, Roberto, and Alicia Limes, who lives in apartment 414. Vicky Cooper, who lives in apartment 202, and in apartment 107. Again, Rampart has failed to do their job when it comes to patrolling. And when I say Rampart does not make lawful valid arrests. Alicia Limes committed an assault against an innocent individual, and she was not arrested because she is a gangbanger, and more than likely 99.9% of the cops are also gang affiliated. They're not going to risk their necks, and neither are the Caucasians, blacks, or Asians. They will not stick their necks out, and that I just found out. So having said that, we need military cops in all stations, especially in the Rampart area. It is crawling with gangbangers and illegals. And again, Rampart has failed to do its job in doing valid arrests. They are now changing hats. They are acting as the trier of law and the trier of fact. And again, we say deport, deport, deport. No amnesty, no asylum, no foreclosure and or modification protection to any criminal, illegal alien and or gangbanger. Again, if you are running for mayor and you have not gone after these gangbangers, forget it. You ain't gonna do it and you're not qualified. So I admonish any of you who are running for mayors, if you can't do your job...
All right, the next speaker will be Mr. Henry.
Good morning. Just here to remind you what Henry's acronym for. Help everybody not reconciled yet. All I got to do is convince Mr. Herb that Herb is the acronym for Help Everybody Recover Bucks. On the line she was saying there, we in America, it's got 13 stripes and 13 amendments. And we find out in America, we got Americans, Caucasians, Asians, and Negroes of every percent. So it's time to start owning up to the money that you sheltered from us in the first place. George Meany was a plumber just like me, and he said, you can't unionize people that's already unionized in this State of the Union or in this government. We got all these 501c3 corporations, administrators, just eating up all our money. And I got to take my hat off to Miss Jan Perry because she told her colleagues, don't forget where you come from. And where I come from, when you're DBA, don't be ashamed to let your conscience be your guide. I'm used to being in the second line, so here I is. Now, Uncle Tom up here, I'm sure he's going to help Mr. Herb get Miss Groove to do her grueling task of accounting for the time and money of others than me. Thank you.
All right, that completes public comment. Mr. Clerk, what's next?
Mr. President, before moving on, I'd like to make an announcement in regards to item number 6. Item number 6 was a 12-vote item. Our vote was 11-0 unless reconsidered later. With 12 members, it will carry over to this Friday the 25th.
Very good. So do we need to revote that?
No, sir.
No, so carry over. Thank you so much. What's next, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. President, would you like to recess the regular and adjourn, or excuse me, and call to order the special meeting?
Yeah, let's call to order that right now.
Very good, sir. Alarcon, Buscaino, England, Grass City, Weezer, Koretz, Krikorian, LaBonge, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Zion, Wesson. 11 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
And we have one card, item 19, Mr. Walsh.
Mr. President, before doing so, item 19 is an item for which a public hearing has not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
So open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
All right.
And
so
Mr. President, there is an amending motion, 19A, that has been circulated for this item as well.
19A. That's before everyone?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. It has been circulated?
Yes, sir.
So, do we have a public comment card? One card, Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighland.org, or go to thefrontpageonline.com, thefrontpageonline.com. This is an important issue. You see, this is a special council meeting, so the 5-minute rule doesn't count. They have to give us just to start all over on our 5-minute limit. This concerns signs. And let me tell you, middle-class people, there's nothing that drives them crazier than signs. Me, I have to worry about noise. But no sign ever woke me up in the middle of the night. A woman screaming, rape has. Okay, the point I'm making here is this allows a certain section of the city to pretty much go berserk. Universal City Sign District. Now, if you think that Universal City wants to restrict the amount of signs is advertising. Now, these people aren't strong enough. They're not out here. They have not appeared. But as I said, here's the cake. Tonight, downstairs at the snack bar till 12:15. We will be there.
Mr. LaBonge, he's not talking about this
Hollywood
item.
High. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. No one else on the queue? As amended. Item 19, let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
11 ayes. Next item, forthwith on that.
Very good, sir. Mr. President, would you like to recess the special and return to the regular? Adjourn the special and return to the regular.
Yes, correct.
Very good, sir. Mr. President, that brings us to items 15 and 16. They're items scheduled for closed session.
Now, Mr. City Attorney, take over here and give us an explanation.
I believe item 15, there was a request from our office to continue that item 1 week.
1 week on which one?
On item 15, Bieber versus City of Los Angeles.
On 15, it's okay for Mr. Koretz, Mr. Krikorian, Mr. Garcetti, everyone's okay on it. Thank you. Next item.
And Mr. President, that 1 week is January 30th, and you can do that without objection, sir.
Without objection. Next item.
That's item 16.
Right, what's before us? Do we need to clear the chambers?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. City Attorney, will you go section code, lay it out?
Council is recessing into closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 D2 and E2 to confer with legal counsel relative to a proposed settlement of a claim by Oracle America.
Thank you, Sergeants.
just takes 1 cup.
Every year, thousands of children in our community drop out of school, they quit on their families, they give up on themselves. But together we can change that.
By sponsoring a child for the cost of 1 cup of coffee a week, you can provide a child with a mentor, a place to play,
And a safe haven like Hollenbeck Pal.
With 1 cup, I can play soccer after school.
With 1 cup, it helped me get here to college, preparing for my future.
It just takes a moment to change a child's life. Go to onecup.org and make a difference today.
The average adult spends more than 8 hours in front of the screen each day. Children spend up to 4 hours. Studies show that sedentary lifestyles put you at risk for disease, even at an early age. But a healthy lifestyle is just a click away. Los Angeles Recreation and Parks provides over 16,000 acres of parkland with parks and lakes, swimming pools, golf courses, skate parks, and dog parks, and more than 180 community recreation centers. A healthy lifestyle is just a click away. LAparks.org.
All right, we're back in open session. Mr. Clerk, report executive session.
Yes, sir. In regards to item number 16, there is a recommendation to approve the proposed settlement with Oracle, including the purchase of software licenses and associated software update license and support from Oracle as follows: $998,000 for supply management system licenses, $308,750 for licenses for various systems of the Department of City Planning, $316,750 for Los Angeles business tax system licenses, and $1,645,596 for licenses for the Department of Public Works, Bureau of Sanitation, Billing, and Citywide 311 Customer Relationship Management System. There's also a recommendation to authorize the Department of City Planning and the Office of Finance to execute financing documents with Oracle to finance each department's software license purchase over a term of 5 years with 0% interest.
Thank you very much. That's approved by the city attorney, recommended by CLA and the CAO. So let's open the roll on that, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, and forthwith on that. Next item.
Mr. President, Council has motions for posting and referral.
So ordered. Any announcements, members?
The desk is clear.
Desk is clear. Any announcements? Any adjourning motions? All right, if we all please rise for adjourning motions. Johnny? Okay, Mr. Parks.
Thank you very much. I'd like to request that we adjourn in memory of Durrell Theodore Foster, who was born August 1957, to Theodore and Blondell Foster Grant in Los Angeles, California. Durrell attended St. Agnes Elementary School in Los Angeles from kindergarten to the 8th grade. As a child, he developed a love for sports and participated in youth baseball at Baldwin Hills Park. He attended Mount Carmel High School and held his first job at one of the local McDonald's restaurants. He later worked for the Leo's Barbecue at Crenshaw and Adams, and after high school, he attended the Indiana State University. Upon returning from college, he began work at Hughes Aircraft in El Segundo. In 1995, he joined the team at American Airlines, where he worked until his death. He lived in Inglewood his entire adult life. He traveled over the world in many countries, including Brazil, Peru, Rio, Mexico, and even went to China in the 2008 Olympics. As an avid sports fan, he made countless trips across the country, taking in sporting events, including his annual trip to Hawaii for the NFL Pro Bowl. When not at work, he enjoyed spending time with his family and playing his weekly basketball game on Thursday nights. He was diagnosed with lung cancer in July 2012 and completed his journey on January 18, 2013, when he passed away surrounded by family and friends. Durrell had a way of lighting up any room with his infectious smile and the light of his soul. His family feel blessed to have Durrell in their lives and will miss him much. He's preceded in death by his father, Theodore Foster. He's survived by his mother, Blondell Grant, his two brothers, Winton Foster and Richard Grant, and his sister Regina, and a host of family members.
Thank you. Seconded by Ms. Perry. Thank you. Members, I ask we adjourn in memory of Herbert H. Clark, Jr., who died peacefully at 94 years old. With him at his side were his 3 generations of family members. Herbert Clark had 8 daughters. They lived on Nottingham Avenue in the Los Feliz district. These generations of children from the 8 daughters include 17 grandchildren, 18 great-grandchildren, and 2 great-great-grandchildren. His wife, Marion Berg, is also 71 years married. Our family, and I have 8 brothers, 7 brothers, 8 of us, lived in the neighborhood. So it was very special, the Clark family. And so to live 94 years, that's a blessing. His wife, 71 years married, all the children around him. We adjourn in memory of Herbert H. Clark, Jr., a great resident of Southern California. Thank you. Seeing none, there's no other business. Let's go on and serve the city of Los Angeles well. This meeting is adjourned.